Hi, everybody. Here, Ray Wong with Constellation Research, here with Jason Patterson, Director of Business Value Advisory at Flexera. So one of the things that happens is companies spend millions, literally millions, on their IT platforms like ITSM and IT financial management, but they still don't know what they own. They have no idea what's going on. Why is that?
Yeah, the biggest miss that most companies have is they have a lack of IT asset management. The main difference between service management and asset management is, an IT asset management traditionally is the marrying of the technical side of the house, what you have installed, what you have deployed, what you're using, marrying it to the contractual and the financial. And most of the time in service management systems, which do a very, very good job at things like incident and change, end up doing a very, very terrible job at IT asset management because it's really two foundational different things. They have two different sets of goals. In service management, I like to describe it that the seconds and minutes matter. If you have an incident where critical systems are down, that is your e-commerce platforms, or if you're a financial system, if those key applications go down, it can cost you millions. The seconds and minutes matter when it comes to incidents. In IT asset management, it's more about the weeks and the months and the years, marrying to what you're contractually obligated to with the vendors. But in traditional IT asset management, you want to have the full scope of the entire technology landscape, all the way down to things like patch levels and versions of the applications. And that is the biggest miss, is that they're two foundationally different things, but sometimes organizations try to marry them together in a way that just the systems aren't built for it.
But you're basically saying two different things here, too. You're saying the data is different and the temporal requirements are different in terms of how people consume that data and use that data. And I think a lot of people don't realize that. And this basically talks to the difference between an ITSM scenario and solution and what's happening with asset data. Now, what type of asset data and how do you add IT asset data and use that to add value to other systems like ITSM? How do you bring these two systems together?
Yeah, there is an overlap of data that I like to, kind of describe it as a Venn diagram of those two circles that kind of conjoin a little bit in the middle. And there's overlapping data around some of the assets, like your traditional data center assets or your traditional end user assets, that you've got to share things like serial number and host name and who is using the particular end user device if it's not something that's in the data center. You have to share data, but what you really have to do is have a system for IT asset management that augments the data. And you have to have something that is clean and curated. So one of the things that's the biggest differentiator for Flexera in the marketplace is the things like our backend catalog, which is known as Technopedia. It is by far the best in the industry at normalizing your raw data that comes in from all those discovery sources, from all of your security tools, from all of the data that is flowing in, and it normalizes in a way to actually tell you what it is. And it also is one of the things that can map out the entirety of the entire technology landscape. So I guess the main differentiator is normalized data, and then having the ability to sometimes look at it at its very, very raw source that it comes in discovery as well. Both of those are extremely important details for IT asset management to then augment and help, kind of purify what would be the data that's needed for service management.
Yeah, and that Technopedia is pretty wild. I mean, you capture things like security vulnerabilities, power consumption, life cycle, categorization. I mean, it's a wide range of metadata that's being captured as well that's being used for context. So what happens when you install a solution like FlexR? What's ROI like? What are the elements of savings that are typically delivered?
It's different for every organization, but this is one thing that of my over 20 years of doing this in the industry for some of the world's biggest companies. And every single organization, if you don't have an IT asset management program in place that's mature, I will guarantee you have left money on the table. With you're either overspending with your vendors, or you have compliance issues and risks that you have not found and eliminated yet. And one thing I'll also guarantee you, it's not an organization that is secure as they could possibly be in today's cybersecurity landscape. And so the ROI for it is usually tremendous. I mean, we're talking a multiple X return, regardless of the type of industry you're in. I've seen it as high as a 20 or 30X return on the
Wow.
investment within the 3-year time period that most technology contracts are done today, you'll see a 5 to 7x return for most cases of most companies and most industries. But it really depends on how unoptimized of an environment we're talking about.
Jason, this makes a lot of sense. We're going from a nice to have to a must to have, especially with these types of ROI numbers. We're with Jason Patterson, Director of Business Value Advisory here at Flexera. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you. Appreciate it.